"I was totally blindsided," the icon confessed. "I sat there convinced there was zero chance they'd actually flip the switch on a deal with my name on it." The unthinkable is now reality. Anthony Davis is officially a Golden State Warrior. This seismic shift was set in motion by Jimmy Butler's season-ending knock, which weirdly enough cleared the exact cap space Dallas required to balance the books. Butler is headed to the Mavericks as the money man in this colossal swap, but the burning question is, can the brow remain upright long enough to salvage Steph Curry's championship window? We are ripping through every detail right now. Before we get into the nitty-gritty, go ahead and crush that like button and hit subscribe for your daily hoops fix. All right, let's dissect the trade that just shook the association. The Mavericks are signing off on the paperwork to send AD to the Bay. The return package is built around Jimmy Butler and includes a complicated three-way dance involving the Chicago Bulls. For the Mavs, this marks the abrupt end of a super team dream that never got off the runway. Remember, Dallas bet the farm on Davis, snagging him from LA on February 5th, 2025, in that planet-shaking deal for Luka Doncic. The blueprint was to forge an invincible Big Three with Kyrie Irving and the rookie sensation Cooper Flagg. Instead, things got ugly fast. The Mavs were stuck at 500, bogged down by the injury bug and locker room friction, and when Davis touched down in Texas, he brought a heavy price tag along for the ride. We are talking serious cash. His $54.1 million salary this year is just the appetizer of a 5-year, $189.9 million deal that locks him in with player options all the way through the 2027-28 campaign. That monster cap hit turned trade talks into a headache, forcing GMS to perform gymnastics to fit within the N Bachelor of Arts' tight spending rules. So, AD to the Bay. Here is the kicker. Word on the street is this wasn't the Warriors chasing a whale, but the Mavericks frantically searching for an escape hatch. Golden State definitely had cold feet. Even though they needed a force in the paint to run with Curry, they were reportedly terrified of gutting their bench. But the hole in their interior defense was too big to ignore. If you are digging this analysis, make sure to click subscribe so you never miss a beat. Sources verify it was the Dallas front office burning up the phone lines, aggressively selling the Davis concept to Golden State. At first, the Warriors slammed the door, refusing to part with core vets like Jimmy Butler or Draymond Green. The concept of an Anthony Davis blockbuster was alive, but any deal touching Draymond was dead on arrival. It is vital to understand that the Mavericks were the ones pushing the Draymond talk, not the Warriors. In the end, Butler became the sacrificial lamb. Butler was carrying a nearly identical cap hit of $54.1 million. Do not forget, he only ended up with the Warriors after a trade with the Miami Heat back in 2025. But then, catastrophe struck, rewriting the team's destiny. On January 19th, 2026, Butler went down hard with a torn right ACL during a grudge match against his old squad, the Heat. The Warriors medical team wasted no time ruling him out for the rest of the 2025-26 season. This created a wild financial opportunity. Since AD and Jimmy Buckets have basically the same paycheck, sharp-eyed Mavs fans spotted the potential swap instantly. The math was easy. The Warriors are aging and desperate to win now with Steph. Desperate times call for desperate measures. The theory was Golden State might leverage their future, shipping picks and the shelved Butler just to grab a somewhat healthy Anthony Davis for a postseason run. And I use the word healthy loosely here. Davis has his own file in the infirmary. He took significant ligament damage to his left hand on January 8th, 2026, a setback expected to sideline him for at least 6 weeks. That news put the trade market on ice as rival executives were scared to bet on a guy made of glass. Even Charles Barkley called this shot during the Christmas Day show, asking bluntly, "What is the plan in Dallas?" They are in deep water because it is obvious to me that Anthony Davis, as talented as he is never going to stay on the floor. If I'm running the show, I'm moving him. This is Cooper Flagg's franchise now. At one stage, the Mavericks were sitting at a brutal 12 wins and 20 losses. Meanwhile, Cooper Flagg was putting up video game numbers as a rookie, waiting for management to pick a lane. Something had to give. Enter Power Agent Rich Paul of Clutch Sports, who reportedly used the chaos to angle Davis for a monster payday. In August 2026, we are looking at a potential 4-year, $275 million bag. The Mavericks, however, laughed at that number, citing Davis's mileage and his inability to suit up. It really makes you question if this whole drama was orchestrated from the shadows by his representation. It is a solid theory. Clutch Sports is notorious for moving pieces behind the curtain to get their guys into prime destinations. And Bachelor of Arts insider Mark Stein shone a light on how tough these talks really were. He pointed out that while lines are always buzzing, moving a superstar who is currently in street clothes is a tall order. The bargaining power tanks when a player is out indefinitely. Yet, despite the roadblocks and the slow start, they cross the finish line. The Warriors are rolling the dice, Dallas is blowing it up, and the Bachelor of Arts hierarchy has just been rearranged. Hold on to your seats, basketball junkies! The final buzzer hasn't sounded on this trade season just yet. We are looking at a frantic fortnight left on the calendar before the market locks down. Out of nowhere, the Chicago Bulls have emerged as the power players controlling the board. As we hit late January 2026, the squad from the Windy City is knocking on the door of the Eastern Conference elite, sitting just 2 victories outside the top 6. Chicago currently possesses the leverage to trigger a colossal 3-team earthquake involving the Mavericks and the Warriors. The narrative writes itself. Anthony Davis, the prodigal son, returning to his roots. He grew up on these pavements and became a legend at Perspective's charter school. On the court, the Bulls are hunting for a dominant enforcer in the paint to run alongside their dynamic young duo, Josh Giddey and Matas Buzelis. The grapevine is buzzing with wild theories suggesting Chicago could funnel protected draft capital down to Texas to balance the books. This tactical maneuvering would clear the runway for Golden State to acquire Davis without stripping their lineup to the bone. Hey, before we break this down further, smash that like button if you are loving these trade updates. Reliable source Mark Stein indicated that while Davis is technically available, the Bulls front office, steered by Arturas Karnisovas, hasn't tipped their cards or shown any signs of panic. Yet, as the trade deadline draws near, the pieces are falling into place naturally. The unfortunate injury to Jimmy Butler accelerated the timeline. The salary cap math suddenly worked, and the Dubs realized the moment to strike was now. But first, we need to address the devastating blow dealt to Jimmy Buckets. The incident that changed everything occurred on January 19th, 2026. It was a cruel irony happening during a blowout victory against his former team, the Heat, when Butler collapsed in the third quarter. It was a non-contact injury, always the worst sign happening, as he reached for a pass, resulting in a ruptured ACL. The Warriors dropped the grim news 24 hours later. Butler is officially sidelined for the remainder of the 2025-26 run, with surgery on the docket. At 36 years old, staring down a recovery road that will eat into next season, this is a career-defining moment for both the athlete and the franchise. Keep in mind, his right knee has been through war. He battled a meniscus tear in 2018 and an MCL sprain in 2024. These aren't minor scrapes, they are warning lights regarding his durability. The accumulated damage suggests degenerative wear that modern medicine struggles to reverse. Warriors general manager Mike Dunleavy Jr. took the podium on January 20th, 2026. He attempted to project optimism regarding Jimmy's return, but acknowledged that ACL tears are brutal, vowing the organization would support him fully. It is a tough pill to swallow because Butler had been a total transformer for the team since arriving from South Beach. With Jimmy in the lineup, Golden State was a juggernaut, boasting a record of 46-22. He provided that signature grit and scoring punch that aligned perfectly with the organization's chase for another banner. Frankly, his tenure with the Warriors has been spectacular. If you agree, hit that subscribe button right now. With him on the court, they were winning at an elite pace, 46 wins against 22 losses at the last tally. That is the profile of a title contender. It is hard to imagine the executives casting him aside simply because he is currently in a cast. Before the disaster, Butler was averaging over 20 points, grabbing 5.6 rebounds, dishing 4.9 assists, and swiping 1.5 steals nightly through 38 starts. He was the perfect co-pilot Golden State hoped for, a two-way beast who could shoulder the burden for Steph Curry while neutralizing the opponent's top threat. let's be honest, though the psychological wounds of an ACL tear often outlast the physical ones. Statistics suggest nearly 40% of athletes play with hesitation upon return, terrified of re-injury, which neuters their aggression long after the surgery scars heal. For a competitor like Butler, whose brand is built on relentless intensity, the isolation of rehab will be a unique psychological battle. The numbers are stark. While 85 to 90% of NBA players return from ACL reconstruction, only about 65 to 70% regain their peak performance levels. The probability drops further once you pass age 30. We have witnessed this tragedy before. Look at Derrick Rose, who lost his prime to knee issues. Klay Thompson battled back from the ACL and Achilles nightmare, but he had to completely alter his play style. Butler is 36, and history shows a major injury at this stage often signals the end of a career within 3 to 5 years. Despite the gloom, Golden State has signaled, both publicly and privately, that they have no desire to trade him. Dunleavy went on record stating he doesn't intend to move that contract, viewing Jimmy's eventual return as a midseason reinforcement similar to the spark he provided previously. They have effectively guaranteed his roster spot for next year. However, reality might interfere with that loyalty. While Jimmy's paycheck is the ideal mathematical match for an Anthony Davis swap, the Dallas Mavericks will require a war chest of draft assets to facilitate the exchange. That colossal $54.1 million cap hit isn't just a salary anymore. It has morphed into the ultimate matching tool under the dollar and Daxton say league's suffocating financial apron. Suddenly, he is the golden ticket to executing a franchise-altering blockbuster. Whether the Warriors brass wants to admit it or not, the connection between GM Mike Dunleavy and Jimmy Buckets injects a messy layer of personal drama into the mix. We are talking about former locker room brothers here, guys, with history that runs far deeper than a typical front office dynamic. Trading away a fallen soldier mere days after a devastating injury carries a heavy emotional toll that you simply cannot quantify on a balance sheet. Listen, before we dive into the rumors, you have to respect the history. Dunleavy and Butler went to war together on the court, but now Golden State is standing at a brutal crossroads. Do they bank on Butler's rehab and gamble with the twilight of Steph Curry's now in Hab championship window, or do they ruthlessly flip that massive expiring contract while it is still the most valuable asset on the board? Look, Jimmy earned his stripes in the Bay. He proved he was the missing piece. The team went 50-29 with him, suited up, fueled by that scorching 25-19 run to open the 2025-26 season. The guy is a monster. But that asterisk, when healthy, became a recurring nightmare in the scouting reports. The franchise mantra of strength in numbers is colliding headfirst with the cold, hard calculus of Father Time. Before we unveil the primary trade targets, do me a huge favor, crush that like button and subscribe to the channel for daily hoops coverage. The Warriors are backed into a corner and need to pull a rabbit out of the hat at the deadline. It is officially a disaster zone. With Jimmy shelved for the rest of the year, the blueprint has completely fallen apart. Throw in the complexities of Moses Moody's contract, and it gets even uglier. That injury didn't just drop a key player, it nuked every single negotiation strategy the Warriors had on the table before the deadline hits. Enter the brow. To understand why Golden State would bet the farm on an enigma like Anthony Davis, you have to understand the anomaly of the athlete. You are looking at a collision of supreme skill and a body that seems to be made of glass. Born on March 11th, 1993 in Chicago, AD did not come from a basketball powerhouse. He attended Perspectives Charter. In the Englewood neighborhood, a tiny academic hub with zero sports pedigree, they did not even have a real gym. Resources were non-existent, but none of that mattered once biology took over. His physical transformation reads like a comic book origin story. In 3 high school years, he rocketed from a 6-foot guard to a 6'10" kaiju. He kept the handles of a playmaker but gained the wingspan of a center, putting the entire basketball universe on high alert. The accolades poured in like rain. McDonald's All-American, Jordan Brand, Classic Co-MVP, and Illinois Mr. Basketball. By 2011, Scout.com crowned him the undisputed king of the recruiting class. On August 13th, 2010, he committed to the University of Kentucky. setting the stage for a legendary rise. His lone season in Lexington under Coach Cal was not just good, it was a coronation. During that 2011-2012 run, Davis anchored the Wildcats to a 38-2 record, capped off by a 67-59 victory over Kansas for the national title. Starting all 40 games, he cleaned out the trophy case in a way we rarely see. He was the consensus National Player of the Year, the Defensive Player of the Year, the Freshman of the Year, and he swept the SEC awards across the board. He even obliterated the NCAA freshman block record. It was pure domination. The New Orleans Hornets sprinted to the podium to draft him #1 overall in 2012. He arrived carrying the Savior label, and he did not disappoint. The Brow snatched first-team All-Rookie honors and led the league in swatting shots right out of the gate. From 2012 to 2019, he blossomed into perhaps the deadliest two-way force on earth. He topped the blocks charts 3 separate times, 2014, 2015, and 2018. And the offense was lethal. He stole the show at the 2017 All-Star Game with a record-breaking 52 points. Despite dragging the Pelicans to the playoffs twice, the lack of support forced his hand, leading to that seismic trade demand in January 2019. His arrival in Los Angeles changed everything. Pairing up with King James, AD finally summited the mountain, crushing the Heat 4-2 in the 2020 bubble finals. That ring completed a rare basketball triple crown, NCAA title, Olympic gold in 2012, and FIBA World Cup gold in 2014. He stands alone as the first baller in history to unlock that specific quartet of hardware, but here is the question for you guys in the comments. Does that decorated resume mean he has the grit to survive another high-stakes blockbuster trade? Without a doubt. Surviving the LA spotlight next to LeBron proves you are built for the Heat. The man has seen it all and done it all. He is ready for whatever comes next. So, let's see how this drama unfolds. Stay tuned, folks. There is no stage grander than the Olympics, folks. Wearing those colors, that is the absolute pinnacle of sport. I stood shoulder to shoulder with Titans, future Hall of Fame icons, while the entire globe glued their eyes to our every move. Walking through that fire and during the heat of gold medal runs, that was the boot camp I needed for this wild next chapter. Let's keep it 100. Anthony Davis has a trophy case that screams greatness. We are looking at 10 All-Star appearances spanning from 2014 to 2025. The man has collected 5 All-NBA badges, 4 of them first team, and locked down 5 all-defensive spots. While he was owning the paint in Los Angeles, management backed up the Brinks truck to reward that dominance. He even added a second Olympic gold in 2024 and captured the inaugural NBA Cup back in 2023. But there is a dark cloud hanging over the glory, the injury bug. We have watched him battle calf tears, knee inflammation, and nagging groin strains. Davis has missed massive stretches of the calendar, handing his haters all the fuel they need to argue his frame. Simply isn't built for the marathon. So, when he fades down the stretch, do the alarm bells start ringing? It is downright ugly. A total disaster. Listen, what we saw on that floor is the precise reason the lost product season, Angeles Lakers aren't even in the same area code as a title this season. All that offseason hype means nothing because I am incredibly fed up with AD right now. That showing yesterday, absolute humiliation. Before we dive deeper into this mess, do me a favor, crush that like button and hit subscribe if you agree the hate is justified. The insults have trailed him like a ghost. Charles Barkley famously branded him street clothes because he spends more time in suits than uniforms. Then Stephen A. Smith escalated the roast, labeling him Six Flags, a wild ride. Because you can never predict which player will arrive. When he is dialed in, he is undeniably a top 7 force on the planet. Yet Barkley kept hammering street clothes and Smith wouldn't drop Six Flags. It is a constant seesaw of emotions. One evening he explodes for 40, and the next he vanishes into thin air with just 11. And then the news that shattered the internet dropped. On February 5th, 2025, the NBA world stopped spinning. Davis was dealt to the Dallas Mavericks in a straight swap for Luka Doncic. It was a gigantic roll of the dice to muscle up the Mavs interior. But his tenure in Dallas hit a brick wall instantly due to health scares, including a terrifying detached retina requiring emergency surgery and those signature goggles. Yet, he fought his way back. When the mics were in his face about the mega trade, AD stayed classy. Listen, bottom line, this league is a cold business. I understand the game, but I have to be real. I was floored. I was sitting there saying, there is zero chance they actually pull the trigger. When you hit a specific tier of stardom, you naturally believe you are untouchable. I guarantee Luka thought the exact same thing. Neither of us likely ever pictured ourselves as trade chips without demanding a way out. But time ticks on, and you have to turn the page. Fast forward to now, 32 years young and entering season 14, Davis is loading up the moving truck once more. Even though a torn hand ligament on January 8th, 2026 tanked his value, he is headed to a new zip code. For a squad frantic to squeeze every drop out of Steph Curry's prime, it was a risk they couldn't ignore. Hey, don't forget to subscribe to stay updated on this trade drama. This is the Warriors throwing a Hail Mary pass to rescue Curry's final years. To get why they pushed the button, you need a history lesson. Going from the league's punchline to a global powerhouse is arguably the biggest glow-up in sports lore. But to grasp their current desperation, you have to respect the empire they constructed. Joe Lacob and Peter Guber purchased the franchise in 2010 for $450 million. Prior to that, the organization was spinning its wheels in mediocrity. Lacob, a venture capitalist with roots in biotech, injected a ruthless, aggressive philosophy. He aimed to construct a roster via the draft and champion a fast-paced three-point barrage. And boy, did they hit the jackpot on draft night. Steph Curry arrived in 2009 at the 7th slot. Klay Thompson joined the party in 2011 at pick 11, and they robbed the league blind, getting Draymond Green in 2012 at 35. The Splash Brothers emerged, changing the geometry of basketball forever. Green's grit and playmaking served as the cement binding the dynasty. Then they played their ace card, bringing in Steve Kerr in 2014. Kerr wasn't merely an ex-sharpshooter, he was a basketball genius. He implemented a fluid motion system that valued wide open spaces and constant ball movement. The dividends were immediate, delivering a championship in 2015 and snapping a 4-decade dry spell against Cleveland. Next, they basically broke basketball. Following that record-breaking 73-9 campaign in the 2015 to 2016 season, which concluded with that heartbreaking finals meltdown after surrendering a 3-1 advantage, they acquired Kevin Durant. That signing in 2016 assembled a super squad unlike anything witnessed before. Curry, Thompson, Durant, and Green together, totally illegal. They sleptwalked to consecutive titles in 2017 and 2018. From 2015 to 2022, they booked 6 trips to the finals and raised 4 banners to the rafters. They ultimately relocated across the water to the state-of-the-art Chase Center in 2019. The Golden State legacy was cemented in history. Let's flash back to that gut-wrenching moment that redefined Golden State basketball. Kevin Durant walking out the door in 2019 after snapping his Achilles against the Raptors felt like the final nail in the coffin. Throw in Klay Thompson's nightmare run of injuries, and the Warriors crashed hard, hitting rock bottom in the standings. But then, they pulled off the impossible, resurrecting the dynasty to steal ring number 4 over Boston in 2022. However, wearing the crown takes a toll. The architect of those championship runs, Bob Myers, finally walked away in 2023, completely burned out. That left Mike Dunleavy Jr. to slide into the driver's seat, facing a brutal juggling act, keeping the veterans happy while trying to inject some youth into a rapidly aging roster. It has been a frantic race for ownership to squeeze every last drop out of Steph Curry's prime. They took a swing on Jonathan Kuminga at number 7 in 2021 and grabbed Brandon Podziemski at 19 in 2023. They also handed Draymond the bag. But the tectonic shift happened with the massive Jimmy Butler trade in February 2025. That was supposed to be the checkmate move. They sacrificed Andrew Wiggins, the legendary Chris Paul, and valuable draft picks to Miami, uniting Jimmy's toughness with Steph's shooting. Looked lethal on the whiteboard. Then, the worst case scenario hit. Butler blew out his knee. Now, stalling out at 27 and 22 in early 2026. The question on everyone's lips is it over? Before we dig in, hit that like button if you think the chef still has one more ring in him. This leads us straight to Anthony Davis. He is the one superstar acquisition who won't strip the cupboard bare of draft picks or force the team to sacrifice its defensive soul by trading away Draymond Green. When you actually analyze a swap for the brow, it aligns perfectly with the win now panic of Curry's window without completely torching the team's future viability. Steph is 38 years old. His biological clock is the only countdown that matters for this organization. It is time for a serious reality check. You need to sit down and look number 30 in the face. He is the timeline. If the GOAT shooter walks into the front office and demands push all the chips to the center of the table, forget the future, I want a title today, you do it. Joe Lacob isn't the type to fold his hand. He has stated repeatedly that he wants banners hanging in the rafters, not ping pong balls in the lottery. The blueprint has Lacob's aggressive style written all over it, keeping his superstars in the loop on every blockbuster decision. Klay Thompson, leaving in 2024, changed the vibe, and despite Draymond's antics, Curry's greatness demands aggression. If you're digging this breakdown, make sure to subscribe to the channel right now. The franchise owes it to Steph to take the biggest swing possible. My intuition says Kuminga is finally on the move. That is the best case scenario. But the drama with the young wing has turned ugly. He asked for a trade the moment he could, but riding the pine and getting erratic playing time has tanked his trade value, right when they need it highest. Strategically, they have to put him in the shop window. You have to play the kid like he is a franchise cornerstone to trick a squad like the Mavs into biting. If I'm holding the clipboard, I'm feeding him minutes against Dallas. He needs floor time to prove he can play. Dunleavy is walking a tightrope here, getting value back for Kuminga while constructing a championship roster is a logistical nightmare. The Jimmy Butler injury makes moving Kuminga even harder because the Warriors are in salary cap jail. Unless they move Butler or Green, adding a max contract superstar is mathematically out of the question. It is ironic. The team that revolutionized basketball with small ball and perimeter shooting is now losing the war against the new C, Bachelor of Arts rules. It is wild because if they stubbornly hold on to these massive contracts, the spreadsheets say they are basically banned from trading for any elite talent, with one major exception. Anthony Davis, AD, is the master key to unlock this roster. He provides the rim protection they wanted from Butler. His offense is a dream fit alongside Curry, and most importantly, the salaries align, making the deal legal under the rules. I get it. Shipping out an injured star looks bad for a team that preaches culture, but feelings don't hang banners. Steph needs backup immediately. The final act of this legendary run requires a cold-blooded decision. And away from the hardwood, this is a clash of titans. The potential trade involves two of the NBA's most distinct characters. We aren't just talking athletes. Anthony Davis and Jimmy Butler are moguls in the making. Davis has been making serious waves in the boardroom, expanding his portfolio. Back in October 2024, he launched Jack M3 Productions, a massive media company where he serves as CEO. They are aggressively pouring money into developing content for film, television, and the web. Davis isn't playing around. He brought in industry heavyweights like Eric Burks to steer the ship, operating officer, while Keith Chamberlain manages the development side. This executive squad has assembled a sponsorship empire that supercharges his bottom line, injecting an estimated $10 to $15 million into his annual earnings. Following that seismic trade to the Mavericks, the brow dropped a bombshell in the sneaker world, inking a rumored 5-year pact with Puma and officially cutting ties with the Nike dynasty. Yet, his boardroom maneuvers don't end there. He's been the main man for Ruffles since 2020, even debuting his own spicy limited-run chip varieties. Throw in heavy-hitting alliances with Red Bull, ExxonMobil, Mobil One, and Beats Electronics, and you're looking at a marketing titan ruling the commercial break. Before we dive into the personal stuff, crush that like button if you're enjoying the update. At my core, I'm really just an oversized kid, Davis confesses. I try to maintain that youthful spark because, let's face it, I'm not getting any younger. The NBA is a pressure cooker. When you step onto the hardwood, the intensity is suffocating because the hunger for victory takes over your entire existence. So the moment that buzzer sounds, I have to disconnect and just live. This craving for equilibrium also powers his charitable mission via the Anthony Davis Foundation, established in 2018. The initiative focuses on unlocking opportunities for youth in neglected neighborhoods, incentivizing academic excellence, promoting physical fitness, and fostering personal development. He is also funneling significant resources into the United Negro College Fund and rising to the occasion when disaster strikes local communities. Yet, beneath this serious philanthropy lies a notorious locker room jester. I have a total obsession with that show, Times and Practical Jokers *, Davis chuckles. It's my religion. Out of the blue, they invited me to guest star, and there was zero chance I was saying no. I hit the set, shot the segment, and honestly, it easily cracks the top 5 experiences of my entire life. When we wrapped, we were just hanging out, and I told them, yo, we need to cook up something even bigger. That's the exact energy he brings to the table. Switching gears, Jimmy Butler is playing a completely different sport in the boardroom. His pride and joy? Big Face Coffee. We all know the lore stuck inside the NBA bubble in 2020. Jimmy despised the local coffee options, so he started dealing premium brews from his hotel suite for a flat $20 a cup. It began as a simple side hustle, but the internet absolutely devoured it. Jimmy parlayed that viral sensation into a luxury lifestyle brand, officially debuting in 2021 and unveiling a full e-commerce platform by 2023. Jump to the 2025-2026 campaign. The venture has gone supernova, cutting the ribbon on its first physical location, partnering with the elites at Onyx Coffee Lab, and revealing a third massive collaboration with Bacardi Rum to bring those Domino Club vibes to San Francisco. If you drop a 20 spot for Jimmy's Brew, hit that subscribe button right now. Butler is also widening his investment scope, securing a minority share of the NWSL's San Diego Wave FC in October 2025, riding the surge of support for women's athletics. He also injected $500,000 into the Padel Reserve Cup, a game he credits with refining his agility on the basketball court. On the creative front, Jimmy Buckets is going full Nashville. He's been quietly working in the recording booth, stacking up over 60 tracks by early 2024 with a mission to handpick a debut album from a massive archive of 200 demos. He's even hinted at duets with heavyweights like Morgan Wallen. But fame aside, Butler is a crusader for mental well-being in the athletic world. In 2021, he engaged in a candid dialogue with visionaries like John Batiste, championing the necessity of openness and self-preservation. Both of these titans shoulder the burden of their humble beginnings. Davis emerged from a small Chicago charter school lacking even a basic gymnasium. And Butler, he fought through teenage homelessness before clawing his way through Tyler Junior College and finally earning a spot at Marquette. Selected 30th overall in 2011, the absolute final pick of round 1, pundits capped his potential as low. Yet, his relentless drive transformed him from a defensive specialist into a 6-time All-Star. His odyssey through the Bulls, Timberwolves, Sixers, and the Heat before finally landing with Golden State is a masterclass in value meeting volatility. Conversely, Davis was billed as the chosen one, number 1 pick, NCAA champion, player of the year, a direct path to superstardom. However, injuries have been the phantom haunting his resume at every step. Now, in a plot twist that stunned the basketball world, their trajectories have intersected. Butler's torn ACL cleared the necessary salary cap room, and Davis's availability proved to be the missing link. Two competitors forged in. Adversity and grind are now the focal points of a transaction that has sent shockwaves through the league. Appreciate you watching. If you dug this deep dive, keep the hype train rolling. Tap one of the recommended videos appearing on your screen now for more explosive content. Catch you on the next one.